I'm going to show you how to use SketchUp Web to actually begin your cafe design. When you go to Simon, go to School Links, SketchUp Web. You will have to sign in with your school email and password. When you first go in, you'll be greeted with something that looks different to this. Yours will have a little thing here called Start Designing. Do not click on that, please. Don't click on Create New. You want to click on this little upside down arrow and go down to decimal millimeters. The different tools that I want you guys to be really familiar with today is the eraser tool here that rubs things out. There's a paint bucket tool over here which is for changing the colors. There's a pen tool which is for drawing single lines. The rectangle tool just here, which is what we use to draw our rooms. The push-pull tool, which makes things 3D, and a little tool, if we click on push-pull and go down here, another tool called offset. There's a measuring tape, which we'll be using a lot because this is a floor plan. And down here we have orbit, pan, which moves side to side and up and down, the little hand, and the different magnifying glasses, which are for zooming in and out and that kind of thing. So we're going to zoom right out now. And the first thing we're going to do is actually draw in the different shapes that make up our floor, the ground floor of our cafe. And we're going to use that do that in measurements. And when we actually type in our measurements, they appear in this little table down the bottom here. So I actually draw a rectangle on the ground, which is the main area of my cafe. I let go and straight away I type in my measurements. Now we're working in millimeters. So 8,000 by 10,000 is 8 meters by 10 meters. Always rotating around, making sure everything looks right. Then we're going to draw in any other little projections, always working in nice even measurements. So you want to be typing in things like 6,000, 5,000, that type of thing, rather than like real random measurements like what is shown there. We put a comma in between our measurements. Once we've finished that main area that is the cafe, we'll be using the eraser tool to rub out these join lines. Okay, because we're going to actually put in walls later. The next thing we do is we put in any area that is any outdoor sort of decking area. So draw that in. And keep that all a different shape, a separate shape. What we're going to do now is actually use the push-pull tool to make our floor plan 3D. We don't want a flat floor. So if we left it as is now and just started putting our cafe design on top of it, it would be paper thin and it won't look realistic in the end. So what we want to do is actually give it some depth, and I'm going to go with 200 mil. So I'll go again. With the push-pull tool, you hover over the shape until these little black dots come up, and that signifies that it has been selected. You drag upwards and you straight away type in your measurement. 200, return or enter. Drag up, 200, return or enter. So now it's thick, and that's going to look a lot more realistic when it comes to actually the final presentation. What we do now is we actually click on the push-pull tool, we hold it down, and we go down to this offset tool. Now I'm going to hover over my main cafe space, and as you can see, it's now selected, and I'm going to lightly click and drag, and we're actually creating the walls now, but I want you to make these walls 200 millimeters thick. Click return or enter. So they should be exactly 200 millimeters thick. Now we've created the outdoor decking space, we have the main cafe space, and we've got the outside walls. The next thing to do is to put in any interior walls, and we're going to do that using this measuring tape. It's really important to actually measure things. The way you use the measuring tape is you click on an edge, you drag in, a guide will come up, you type in your measurement and click return or enter. Click, drag, type in your measurement and click return or enter. We're going to put in our doors now. They get put in using just the plain rectangle tool. We don't have to draw a door symbol because this isn't really going to be a floor plan. We did that in the other program. One thing you really want to make sure of is when you're actually putting your door in, you don't just draw it like this. So this is incorrect. Don't just put a door in like this. All right, that's not how doors really work. There's always, at least 100 mil in here and here before the door actually begins. So we're going to use our measuring tape here. Click and drag and type in a measurement. I'm going in 100 mil from the edge. And when I draw my door in, let's just make sure it's going to be wide enough. So that's a metre wide door, which is actually really quite a wide door, but I'm going to actually go with it. Your doors can be anywhere from 800 millimeters to a metre. A metre is very big. Normally they're about 900 millimeters for a door opening. We'll put another little door at the back here using those guides. And what happens when I drag these walls up now, we're not going to do that, I'm just showing you as an example, is that they actually leave an opening where the door should be in here. So we're going to leave it like that. Now we're going to delete the guides that we've got there so it doesn't get too messy. Over on the right hand side, there's some more tools. Click on the glasses and go delete all guides. Once you've got all your doorways in as rectangles, the next thing we're going to do is put our interior walls in. So using our measuring tape again, we're going to be putting in the measurements for our interior walls. Makes it everything looks beautiful and even. We draw them in just as rectangles that are 200 mil thick. Once we've got them in, we can use our eraser to actually remove these little joining lines so that the walls are all one shape. And that way it's much easier to drag them up in the end. I have here an outdoor decking space. I've got the main eating area. This is going to be like a counter space here, the kitchen, and there are 2 toilets. What we're going to do now is on the right hand side, over here, there is a square tool with a pattern on the left. We're going to add some textures into our model. Now, when I first go in, there's a little house here that's just plain colours. But if I want textures, I go over to this magnifying glass and there's all these different realistic textures that I can use. So down here, I can go down, I can put a stone texture in. Say I wanted a bathroom to be stone or tiles. I might want some nice big grey tiles in my bathroom. Oops. In my, might want to go down and use a wood grain just in here. Now, if you want the floor texture to be different in the different spaces, that's not too hard to do. You just draw a thin line using the line tool. I'm going to leave mine the same though. And I'm going to make my outdoor decking area a darker wood, so it looks like more of a merbau. Another thing you should do is actually colour the sides of the deck.